We already know about transportation in humans. So what about transportation in plants? Now we know that plants make their food in their leaves, and for doing that they require sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide and water. Plants absorb this water through the soil by their roots. So have you ever wondered how do these plants transfer this water that they absorb by their roots to their leaves? If the distance between the organs in contact with the soil, that is roots, and the chlorophyll containing organs, that is leaves, is small, then water can be transferred from the roots to the leaves by simple diffusion. But this distance is very large in tall plants. So for such plants, plants have transportation system in them. In this lesson, we'll study transportation system in plants in detail. As I just mentioned that plants need to transport water from the roots to the leaves. Now plants do so with the help of a transportation tissue. This tissue, which is used to transport water and dissolve minerals, is known as xylem tissue. The xylem tissue consists of two types of cells, vessels and tracheids. These are elongated cells which form a continuous column for water conduction. Now, as water has to move from the roots up to the leaves, that is, water has to move against the gravity. So how does water move against the gravity inside the xylem tissue? To move water up the xylem tissue, some pressure or suction is required. So plant does this by two ways. First, by root pressure, or second, by transpiration pull. Let's first see how water moves up by root pressure. The root cells in contact with the soil take up the ions. So as a result, now root cells have more ions and less water in them, while soil particles have more water and less ions in them. So as a result, water moves from the area of high concentration to the area of its low concentration. That is, water moves from soil particles to the root cells. This movement of water from the area of high concentration to low concentration is known as osmosis. Now this difference of water and ions is carried out throughout the water column, and thus the water is transported from the roots to the leaves. But this pressure is not enough to carry water in tall plants. So, in such plants, plants follow some other mechanism, that is transpiration pull, to carry water from the roots to their leaves. Now, to understand what is transpiration pull, let's first understand what is transpiration. The loss of water in form of water vapor from all the aerial parts of the plant, that is the leaves, stem and flowers, is known as transpiration. Transpiration in leaves mainly occur through stomata. Now due to the loss of water molecules from all the aerial parts of the plant, these parts are left with less water in them. As a result, this creates suction, and because of this suction, water is pulled upwards from the xylem cells of the roots to the leaves. This is very much similar to the way we suck drinks with a straw. Now transpiration is very essential for the plants because it helps in absorbing nutrients from the soil. Moreover, transpiration also helps in regulating the temperature in the plant. So now, after studying both the methods, that is root pressure and transpiration pull, can you tell me that which method is more prevalent during the daytime and which method is more prevalent during the night time? It's very easy to guess. As we know that transpiration occurs in plants during daytime, so transpiration pull occurs during daytime, and root pressure is more prevalent during night time. As we all know that plants also need energy. Plants derive this energy from the food that they synthesize during the process of photosynthesis. Now, there should be some method by which they can transport this food that they synthesize in the leaves to the other parts of the plant. This transportation of food and the soluble products of photosynthesis is known as translocation. Food is stored in the plants in the form of sucrose. So, plants transfer sucrose all over their body. The tissue responsible for the transport of food is phloem tissue. This phloem tissue has two types of cells, sieve tube and companion cells. These cells also transport amino acids and other substances in the storage parts of the roots. They also transport it to the fruit, seeds and other growing organs. For example, sucrose is transported by the phloem tissue to the growing buds as they need energy to grow. This transportation of food through phloem tissue is achieved by using energy from ATP, unlike physical forces that are used to transport water through the xylem tissue. Now let's see how food is transported through the phloem tissue. Now when the food is synthesized in the leaves, it is to be transported to the sieve tubes of the phloem tissue. Now as these sieve tubes are already filled with the food, so this food is transported from low concentration in the leaves to their high concentration in the sieve tubes. Thus, this transport requires energy from ATP. Now, water from the surrounding xylem cells enter these sieve tubes through osmosis. And now, from here this food solution is transported to all the parts of the plant. This water serves as the transporting medium in the plants, similarly as blood serves as the transporting medium of food in us. So, in this lesson, we have seen that water is transported throughout the plant body by xylem tissue and food is transported throughout the plant body by phloem tissue. Let's quickly summarize. Xylem tissue has two types of cells, vessels and tracheids. Now, there are two ways to transport water from the roots to the leaves by xylem. First, root pressure, second, transpiration pull. Similarly, phloem tissue has two types of cells, sieve tubes and companion cells. But unlike xylem tissue, the phloem tissue uses energy to translocate the food throughout the plant body.
Roots. They are extensively branched plant part ending in millions of root tips through which the roots absorb water. Almost all plants grow in soil. If plant roots are cut and derooted and then the plant is fixed back into the soil, the plant would slowly dry up and die. Roots have the following distinct zones like root cap, meristematic region, region of cell enlargement and root hair zone. In this you can see the structure of root. Look at these root hairs. They take in water and mineral salts. Look at this cortex. It stores some food as starch. Phloem brings food from the leaves which is used to make new cells at the root tip. This is the phloem. Xylem, as you can see in the figure, it carries water and mineral salts up the stem. This is the root cap which protects the root tip as it grows through the soil. And this is the root tip which is protected by the root cap. Root tip grows as the cell divides. There are some main functions of roots which I'll be telling you. Roots are involved with the fixation of the plant to the soil. Roots absorb water and mineral nutrient from the soil. This is a very important point because water and minerals are absorbed with the help of roots from the soil. where they fix the plant. Then roots conduct absorbed water and mineral nutrients to the upper parts of the plant through xylem. See, after absorbing water and mineral, it is important for the roots to further conduct all this material to rest of the parts of the plant. Roots are able to perform this activity with the help of xylem. What they do? They conduct absorbed water and mineral nutrients to the upper parts of the plant through xylem. Role of water and minerals in plant. At least 70% of the mass of a plant is composed of water, and over 90% of the water taken in by the roots passes right through the stem and out through the leaves as water vapor. The plants uses water for transportation and to maintain a high enough water pressure within its cell to support itself. Beside this, water is used up by the plant for several other purposes also. What are these purposes? I will explain one by one. The first purpose is transportation. Water is a suitable transport medium which causes transportation of substances in solution from roots upward to the shoot or from leaves to the other parts. Next is photosynthesis. Water is used as a raw material in the synthesis of glucose. The third purpose is mechanical function. Water provides turgidity, which is necessary for stiffness of plant tissues. As you can see in this figure, this is a turgid cell from a leaf with enough water, and this is a flaccid cell from a leaf with no water. With this figure, you can imagine the importance of water in plant. Next is transpiration. A large quantity of water is passed out as a vapor during transpiration. These all were the purposes in which water is used up by the plant. Next, we will discuss about minerals. Role of minerals in plants. Minerals act as building blocks for many compounds synthesized by plants. These are required by the plants as constituents of cell and cell organelles, as well as synthesis of variety of compounds required by the cell. So, minerals are building blocks for many compounds, and they help in the synthesis of variety of other compounds as well, which are required by the cell in several activities. Also, the mineral nutrients are absorbed by the roots only. This is a very important point to notice, that the mineral nutrients are absorbed only by the roots. Okay. Next, we will discuss about root hairs and their features. See, root hairs are thin, they are very delicate, unicellular prolongations of epiblema. Now, what do you mean by epiblema? Epiblema are the epidermal cells of rootlets, specially adapted to absorb liquids. Okay. In this image, you can see a germinated seed which is showing so small, delicate and thin root hairs. Root hairs are very thin. The cell wall of the root hairs are made up of two layers, the outer layer of pectin and inner layer of cellulose. The cell wall of the root hair acts as a permeable membrane. Then it is followed by cell membrane which is semi-permeable. This membrane encloses cytoplasm, nucleus and vacuole. So this was the root hair structure. In this image, you can notice the path that is taken by the water molecules from the soil to the root hair. See, these are the root hair and these arrows that are visible, these are the direction of water. The water entering the root hair. This is the cell membrane. This is the cellulose cell wall. Here you can see the cytoplasm. This is the vacuole and this is the nucleus. This is root xylem. So water that is entering in the root hair, it moves through cytoplasm, through the cell wall and finally it reaches the root xylem. This is the path that is taken by water molecules from the soil through the root hair. This was all for today's video lecture. In the